You are standing in line. 30 seconds pass. Your hand is already moving toward your pocket. You don't decide to check your phone. You just do. But the real answer to why you do that is far stranger than habit. Boredom is not nothing. Boredom is not the absence of stimulation. Boredom is a signal. It is one of the oldest alarm systems your brain has, and it has been ringing for longer than language has existed. Think about that for a second. What is boredom actually for? To understand it, you have to go back. Not to the invention of smartphones, not to television, not even to the printing press. You have to go back to a body sitting in tall grass, scanning a horizon, with absolutely nothing happening. For most of human history, nothing happening was the default state of being alive. Your ancestors did not live in a world of constant input. They lived in long stretches of repetitive, low-stimulation time, walking, watching, waiting for animals to pass, for fruit to ripen, for weather to change, and in those long stretches, something had to keep their minds from going slack. Something had to keep them scanning, noticing, alert to the one moment that mattered among 1,000 moments that didn't. That something was boredom. Researchers studying restlessness, including psychologist John Eastwood at York University, describe boredom as the unpleasant feeling of wanting to be engaged in something but being unable to find that engagement. Notice the wording. Wanting. Boredom is not a flat, empty feeling. It is a hungry one. It is your mind actively searching for a reason to pay attention to the world around it. That hunger had a purpose. An organism that felt nothing during downtime would stay still. An organism that felt restless during downtime would get up, move, explore, and find the next opportunity or the next threat before it was too late. Boredom, in other words, may be one of evolution's oldest motivational tools, not a flaw in the human mind, a feature. Here's where it gets stranger. In 2014, a team led by psychologist Timothy Wilson at the University of Virginia ran a deceptively simple experiment. They asked people to sit alone in an empty room for 15 minutes with nothing to do. No phone, no book, just their own thoughts. Many participants found it almost unbearable. Some described the experience as more unpleasant than expected. And in a follow-up version of the study, a notable number of participants chose to give themselves a mild electric shock rather than sit with their own thoughts in silence. Read that again. People chose pain over unstructured stillness. What does that tell you about the human mind? It tells you that an idle brain does not feel like rest. It feels like exposure, like standing in an open field with no cover. Something in you treats empty time as a kind of danger, even when you are completely safe. That reaction makes sense once you remember what boredom evolved to do. It was never built for comfort. It was built to move you, to get you scanning, searching, foraging, checking the horizon one more time. A mind that tolerated stillness too easily might have missed the predator, the storm, the opportunity. So your ancestors who felt boredom sharply and acted on it, who got restless and went looking, they were the ones who found the next water source, the next safe shelter, the next mate, the ones who could simply sit and do nothing, generation after generation, quietly left fewer descendants. You are, in a very real sense, descended from the fidgety ones. Now bring that forward. Thousands of generations later, you are not scanning grassland for predators. You are scanning a feed for novelty. The mechanism is identical. The target has changed completely. This is where the story takes its twist. Modern environments did something ancient brains were never built to handle. They removed the natural limit on stimulation. For nearly all of human history, novelty was scarce. New information, new faces, new sounds. These were rationed by the slow pace of the physical world. Boredom would rise, you would go looking, and eventually you would find something, and the search would end. Today, the search never has to end. Each scroll, each notification, each autoplay video acts like a tiny hit of the same reward your ancestors got from finding food or safety. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky's research on dopamine has shown that the brain's reward chemical fires most strongly not at the moment of getting something good, but at the anticipation of it. The unpredictability of what comes next is the engine, not the reward itself. The maybe. That is precisely why a feed with infinite, unpredictable content is so hard to put down. It is not entertaining you in the way a good story entertains you. It is exploiting the exact same restlessness that once kept your ancestors alive, except now there is no horizon to actually reach, no water source to actually find. Just another scroll, and another, and another. Here is the counterintuitive part almost nobody talks about. Constantly satisfying boredom the instant it appears may be quietly weakening your ability to think. A study published by researchers at the University of Central Lancashire found that people who were deliberately bored before a creative task performed better on measures of original thinking than people who went straight into the task without any boring downtime first. The boredom wasn't wasted time. It was incubation time. While the mind appeared to be doing nothing, it was actually reorganizing, making unexpected connections, wandering toward ideas it would never have reached under direct, structured focus. In other words, the restlessness you rush to extinguish might be the exact state your best ideas need in order to form. When you fill every gap, every red light, every waiting room, every quiet evening with a screen, you are not just avoiding discomfort. You are interrupting a process that has been running successfully inside human minds for hundreds of thousands of years. The ancient signal still fires. You just answer it differently now. Instead of standing up and looking around, you reach for your pocket. The urge is the same. The response has been hijacked. This is not a story about willpower, and it is not really a story about technology either. It is a story about a very old part of your mind meeting a very new kind of world, one engineered, often deliberately, to never let that old alarm go silent for more than a few seconds. So, the next time restlessness rises in you, in a line, in a waiting room, in the 10 seconds before a video loads, notice it before you silence it. That itch is not a malfunction. It is hundreds of thousands of years old. It is the same itch that once pulled a distant ancestor up off the ground to go check what was over the next ridge. It found water. It found safety. It found you, eventually, several thousand generations later. You are standing in line. 30 seconds pass. And for the first time, instead of reaching for your phone, you let the feeling sit there a moment longer, because the real answer to what boredom is far stranger and far older than you ever gave it credit for.